Yep.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? How are you?
I'm good. So you see if our internet connection works better this week?
Well, mine is connected directly, so it should be working much better.
Okay. So I revamped I got one of those whole mesh Wi-Fi systems and put in the house this week.
How's it working?
A lot better.
Yay.
And then I ran off of one of them. I have to run my main router to where my TV is in the center of the living room.
Yeah.
As opposed to the wall, because I still have cords displaying and going different places. But yeah, it totally improved the internet in this place. So
very nice.
Yeah. So.
I'll have to think of doing one of those myself.
Well,
that's the next thing on the list.
It's the mesh systems or the one we got is designed to cover 7,500 square feet and go through walls better.
Which one did you get?
The Orbi.
I've heard of the
Orbi. That's actually Orbi is from what's the name of the company? That's like a major one. Yeah, who's a company?
I don't remember Orbi.
ORBI.
Who owns Orbi?
Who owns Orbi?
Thank
Netgear.
God for Google.
It was Netgear, not the one that there was like Erie or something like that was owned by Google Nest, I think it was the Google one. And I thought about that one at first, but what I liked about the Orbi one is the satellites. I have the one satellite's right behind me here, and I have a direct cable going into the computer from it. So
very cool.
Works 10 times better. Again, it's almost like the setup I had at the condo. So.
For those that watched last week, well, I apologize because man, that was bad feed. And I was blacked out, and it was bad feed. So apologies for that. No. Apologies. That's what happens. But you know what? The show must go on.
Sure. Whatever you say. So
this guy, he's got to get more excited.
Yeah. Can you tell my excitement level has dropped on things I'm doing?
Substantially. What the hell, man? Are you done?
My energy is just spent on everything I've been working on in this industry for 12 years, 13 years.
You're done?
I don't know though I'm done. I'm fed up right now. Right?
I get you. I get it. Yeah. I mean, there are times when you get to that point when you've been doing it for as long as we have, that it's like, I'm so done dealing with people and clients and crap. And
here's what I am done with is, I was telling my mastermind this last night is, in 2023, I'll be done speaking at other people's events. I won't speak at other people's events unless you're really, really paying me.
Oh my God. I was going to have an event and I was going to invite you to speak.
Oh, wow. Bummer.
In 2023.
Yeah. Well, 2023 is the last. Here's why. Now, I'm not picking on people who have events, but the headache that goes along with speaking at other people's events, right? I can control promoting my own event. I can control promoting my own event. I can't control the amount of people that are coming to your event, no matter how much you think I can control for it. And you can't, like when I host my own event, I know that the speakers aren't going to promote it, period. All right. I can have 5 speakers a month. They're not going to promote it. And I'm okay with that. I've learned to work around that. Right. But going to an event, you got, you know that every speaker who comes to your event ain't promoting it. But you go to their event and they're begging, pleading, and like badgering you to promote
to be on your stage.
Yeah. All right, get on my stage. Come on. Why isn't this on your social media?
Well, that's for all the speakers out there. I mean, our buddy Tony Caruso that we talk about all the time. That was one of the things that used to drive her nuts as well. Is that, I mean, if you're going to be a speaker for an event, at least do your part and sell it out there to your audience. So that your audience is in a room.
Did you freeze up on me? Oh, there you go. All right. I was like, you froze. And I'm like, no. Anyway, no, here's the deal with promoting someone else's event. It looks so unnatural. My audience is used to seeing me a certain way. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden, I'm promoting your event the way you want. They're like, this isn't Tim. I ain't going.
Well, wait a minute.
That's
Wait a
the
minute,
truth.
though. Do
Huh?
you truly believe, though, that if you go to someone else's event, that you have to go on as a different presenter than just
No,
as you?
it's not the speaker, not the speaking part. The speaking part, I show up at your event and I speak. I'm natural. It's the way I do it. It's the promotion part. Everybody who wants you to promote their event wants you to promote it their way. Here's my emails. And I read an email that you sent me to speak on Craig's stage. I can see it's not your voice
I
in
get
the
it.
email. That is the authenticity that is being missed, and that's why they hate it, because after I see you promote Craig's event or Tony's event or whoever's event, I'm like, oh, you start to get that ew, that feeling like, and I don't know how to explain. It's like the slimy feeling, right? Because now wait a minute, but that turns me off from listening to anything else you say for a bit, because you stepped out of character to promote Craig, Tony, whoever's event. And when you step out of character, it shows in an email, it shows in your videos, it shows. And that's why, like when I have people to my event, I don't care if they promote it, because of the fact that, if they, the only way really to promote at another event was Nancy Matthews did this with me for being at her event. And it is the only time I've ever seen this work. Nancy Matthews has a regular, her regular mastermind. And she invited me before I spoke at an event to come and speak to her mastermind, do a Q&A, do a few questions, do an interview. All right. So I was put in a natural state to be talked to her people, right? Not a superficial state. I didn't come on that call with a superficial, let me do a promotional, speech. No, I came on and I was just me talking with her. That is the void that I think that's the void part I don't like. And that's why I'm not going to go on to other people's stages. All right. Now, there are a few exceptions that I'm going to have to that rule. Craig says, Tim, you're coming to my event. Tim, come up here and spend 10 minutes talking about what you do. Different story. Craig and I have a relationship that goes back 12 years.
But if you admit, you have to admit, though, too, that with Craig, I mean, that's your crowd.
Well, it is my crowd, but he's also my friend, and almost everybody in his space knows me.
Exactly. That's right. And I think that's what the difference is when you're going to another event and you're the speaker at that event, it's not your people.
Yeah.
It's their people. And I think, and that's something that I know that we allude to in regards to speaking events and so forth is, are you truly speaking in front of your people?
Yeah.
And that's probably what you're talking about, is that it seems to me that when you're talking about that you don't feel like you're speaking to your people. You're speaking to their people, but they're not your audience.
Well, and here's the truth, a really good thing. All right. I spoke the last couple of years at this lady's event. She does virtual events. She's not the most perfect in the world. All right. But she has a heart to keep going and keep going and keep going. Right. So for that, I mean, I would show up and speak, right? And I show up and be interviewed on our show. I never expected to get any followers out of it. And I never do, right? Ever. People in her world don't come, and people hardly ever show up to watch her stuff. Not picking on her. She's great. She's got, like I said, she's got a heart of gold. Yeah. Well, she's putting on another event in January. So I said, do you want me at your event? And she goes, Tim, this time, this event really is not you. Okay. I'm not mad at her. I'm like, okay, great. You saved me from having to prepare a speech and worry about what your audience is.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Right. And I would rather have you tell me that, hey, I really want to see you being a fit for this audience. Don't waste my time, rather than going, hey, I want you. Because the flip side to that is, I've had somebody that I wanted at my events for specific topic. And he comes to the event and he goes, well, no, I've got this new thing I want to do at your event. I don't want you to pardon my French, I don't want you to do the new fucking thing. I want you to do what I hired you to do.
Yeah. Do your new stuff at your event.
Yeah. I mean, and I've gone to events and been the speaker at events. I went to this event 2016. I spoke at it and I had family members there. Family members showed up because it was in the area I was at. And I had more people come and tell me I was the best speaker that day. And I wasn't even the keynote.
Wow.
Right? I was just one of the speakers that come in. And what it is because I was doing an engaging speech geared to what they do, right? Based on what I was told the audience would do and helping them see a new area to take their stuff to. And I wasn't allowed to sell. All I did, and I think I still have a dozen people on my list from that event, right? That basically was like, hey, I want to be on your email list. They give me their cards or whatever, right? That to me was one of the most impactful speeches because I got to go be me, share something, and engage with the audience, and the audience loved it. And I didn't know anybody in the room when I got there. Like I was the right after lunch speaker, which I learned that from Craig. I always take that spot because I can come to life and energy after lunch to really wow the crowd.
Well, and that's the important part too, is after lunch, you really have to pick up the energy.
I think you were at the one that I did with Tony's in California. I think I was the after lunch there as well, wasn't I?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. And I told Tony, I'll take that spot because I will do something that will get the crowd moving again. All right. And I learned to do something to get the crowd moving from Craig, right? I had come up with something that makes the crowd get out of their comfort zone, right? And it really truthfully only works the way I do it right after lunch. Put me at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, doesn't work. All right. You got to get me coming back from a break to do it. So, and it only works in a live room. It doesn't work in my virtual events.
So let me ask you this. Out of all the speaking events you've done, how many clients would you say have come from those?
Probably about 200. In the past 6 years, about 200 clients.
So what got you into speaking in the first place? And why did you do it? A guy named
Zig Ziglar said I should do it.
Why did he say you should do it?
Because he'd seen me at church and the way I wasn't afraid to walk to the front of the room and do something.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well, let me ask you this then. What if you're on a stage, what do you consider a really good speaker?
Number one, someone who's in tune with the room, someone who engages with the room, and someone who helps the room take something and improve it.
Okay, so for our audience here, I mean, it's one thing to say that, but how do you engage the room, and how do you engage that audience, and what is it that you do so that now their interest is piqued and now they're ready to sit down and listen?
See if this works. Oh, okay. There we go. I do this. Post a comment.
I'm just asking this because I know there's a lot of people out there that want to speak, but let's face it, the majority of people
aren't skilled at it.
Are not good at it.
No. I remember. Wait. I remember James going to one of James Malinchek's. To me, I got an awful lot out of James because James made me focus on. I'm going to go through all of the people who've mentored me on speaking and why. James got me on the idea that I need to have an intention. Whenever I walk on the stage, I got to have an intention. This is a business. This is not a fun game. That's James' thought that I got, right? Craig's I got was I need to be entertaining. All right. You get on that stage. All right. These people are not only here to learn, but they're here to be entertained. And if you just make them learn and not entertain them and keep a smile on their face the whole time, you lose them. They are not engaged with you. Right. I had a guy that, we've seen Bo Eason, but I had a guy here in Dallas that was really good at storytelling. And between him, Dr. James Key. Do you remember James Key used to be in Craig's mastermind?
I'm not sure. It doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, James was in there 2016. All right. Him and Matt Brawning. I know you know Matt.
Yeah.
All right. They taught me about, the story and how to get people engaged with the story. It's not necessarily about, just teaching something. It's use the story to teach. Right. And that also, I got to say, there's a couple of people in that. Suzanne Evans is the other one.
Oh, she's
I
great.
still remember the first time that I seen Suzanne Evans speak live. Now, I'd seen her a ton of times on webinars, but live was at Craig's event. And her story about Bye, Felicia.
Yeah.
Oh, that took my
freaking hilarious. It's Bye, Felicia.
Yeah. And like
Bye,
it grabbed me attention. All right. And the thing that secured me was she said, now that story, that happened just 2 weeks ago. That was like light bulb.
Yeah.
And this is where I became really good at start telling what goes on in my life. And it's one of the reasons why 2022, I stepped back because I had something I could not share with the world. I had to wait. And because I'm going through it, I can't share it. And I can't get up on stage and hide it. And hide it. All right. And pretend like something else.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think that's a big thing that's hard too, because I know a lot of speakers will get up on stage and they've got their notebook cards, they've got their speech laid out, they know exactly what they're going to say, and I think it's too staged. I think it's too rehearsed because it doesn't sound genuine.
All right. Can we do this? Let's see if he's watching the show.
Who?
Yes, Craig, I'm coming. He just texted me and asked me if I'm coming to his April event. Wait a minute. I answered back yes, but here's what I'll do. All right, we're set. I'm not a speaker. Wait a minute. I'm going to show it to you first in the audience.
What am I speaking about?
Let's see. Oh, no, he's still typing something. So
yeah.
I'm gonna let the whole world see my text with Craig Dustwall.
Oh, he's gonna love you for that. Thanks a lot, Timbo. Don't pay for the lunches. I'll give you yours.
Oh, I can't show that. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't say Craig, that.
I'm sorry. No, I work in the event, so I don't like Tony. I work the event. That's truthfully all right. I'm sorry that's not something he gives me the lunches because I work the event. I don't get lunches for free. Trust me, I pay more than you do.
Oh, yeah. Well, anytime I've worked at his events as well, but anytime we've worked his events, he's always been kind enough to offer lunch as part of help because I used to go and help with his events because Tony was running the events and I'd go to help her. And I have to say they were a lot more fun in the background.
For me, it's the only way I could go to his events.
Yeah,
I didn't work it. I know everything that's going to be taught on that stage.
Yeah.
And that's the other part about why I'm kind of like, in this fed up mood with the industry is because, I go to so many things and it's like, I know it. Like, I'll go to a stage and I'm like, I know that person speaking on stage and they don't live it. That frustrates me.
Well, and I think that's the big thing for a lot of your audiences is, how do I say it? I know there was a speaker, and I'm not going to say names, that was on one of Craig's stages, and he name dropped left and right on how many people he knew and how he was this and how he was that. And he was with this crowd and that crowd. And he lost that crowd. That crowd was done. You could tell everybody was looking down on their phones. They were looking every different direction. People were walking out the door. He'd lost the crowd.
I'm trying to hold on.
I'm sure you know who it is, but I'm just saying that when you're up there on stage and you're speaking, it's not about you. And we talked about this. It's not about you. It's about the audience.
It's in the private chat. Tell me if I'm right.
don't think that's the right name. No. Let's put it this way. One of Craig's members went all in with his program and was on New York, the New York Times, not the New York Times, but New York Square, Times Square, with his picture and the whole works. You'll know when you think about it. You'll know. But I'm just saying. Yep, that's the one. That's the one.
He's not.
I was so
no.
disinterested and so turned off. I was done.
No. He's not being invited back.
Oh my God, I was done.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying, though, is a lot of speakers will get up there and talk about, hey, I know this person, I know that person, I hang out with this person. You can too if you blah, blah, blah. That's not what
that was. If you go back probably 10 years ago, that was the
I know
the format to be successful at selling. That's, the format has changed
a lot.
And I remember, all right, do you know Jason Nast?
Sounds familiar.
Jason Nast was in Craig's mastermind when I joined, right? And Jason and I are good friends, all right? Jason used to stay at my house, and I used to stay at his house. Like when he was in Dallas, he'd stay at my house. When I was in Phoenix, I'd stay at his house. We were just friends, right? When he was in town, he used my assistants. It's just like we had such a great relationship. Jason was speaking at an event one time, and people, he had that format down. And someone said to him, Jason, you've got enough information that I can learn from. I really don't need to see that, who your celebrity buddies are. Take that part out. Jason took that part out of his speech. All right. And it changed him. All right. Now he's got a whole new format that he does, a whole new thing he's doing, and he travels the freaking world doing it.
Yeah.
And that's it. When you take that one piece of, that's holding you back out. I took this celebrity. I never put the celebrity stuff in. I just never did. I always have had, though. I always had something engaging. All right. That may include Craig, something engaging that may include something I did with Glenn. And, what I mean? And I don't sit there and go, well, I'm hanging out with Glenn Morshower. No, I always tell a story about something I did with Glenn. Right.
I agree.
And most people can figure out it's Glenn that I'm talking about.
I agree. I just think as speakers go, and you can tell as soon as that speaker's gotten on the stage whether they're very positive and they're confident in themselves or they're not.
Yeah.
And the whole audience, the audience is smart enough that they can see that as well. And I pay attention to the audience is what I'm looking at. When a speaker's up on stage, I watch the audience. Are they engaged? Are they leaning forward like this? Are they crying because of a story they're telling? Are they entranced, or are they looking at their phone, talking about the next one?
Here's the other thing too is if I'm thrown on a stage without some sort of prep of what I'm going to do, right? So you call me up, or I'm at your event, Katrina, and you all of a sudden go to me and go, Tim, I need to fill 10 minutes, jump on the stage and talk about blah, blah, blah. If I'm not prepped, it's horrible. And I've done it twice on Craig's stage. Horrible, because I wasn't prepped.
Yeah.
And I learned now to have something prepped, right? Because if I'm not prepped to do it, it looks horrible. And I can look at the eyes of everybody. I can still see the eyes of everybody on stage those 2 times I did it. And their hearts weren't in listening.
Yeah.
As opposed to the last time I was on Craig's stage, I kind of knew it was coming. So I have this routine where basically I get up and I talk. I use this story, and actually Craig has posted it too after I did it, was how to wash a cat or how to wash a dog or something. You know what I mean? It was how to wash a cat. And I use the story, and I tell the story and then I share with people how that's like a relevant piece of content in your business. Now, I'm not the originator of the story, but you know what I mean? But you have to learn to tell it. You have to learn to tell the story. You have to have a point to what you're telling. And I share how it's the world's greatest piece of content. And by doing that, all I really do is get up there and tell a joke and say one or two things about how it's relevant.
Which is perfect. I mean, when you make an audience laugh,
Yeah.
golden, you've got them right in your hand.
Yeah.
Or when you make them cry. I mean, you've seen Sandra Yancey.
Yes.
And
Sandra Yancey is the one speaker that, by the way, Sandra, I love you. I mean, I love her. I've seen her. She can actually start speaking and the room becomes silent. You can hear a pin drop in the room.
You can drop a pin. And she can get an audience to cry. She can get an audience to laugh. She can get that whole audience is just enthralled. I told her one time she should be a minister.
Yeah.
She could get, I mean, they would start tithing with no, sure, all right, yeah, check, no problem. She's got that charisma. And you know, it's interesting because I was reading an article and it was talking about the people that have that it factor. It's called charisma. It's when they walk in that door and you immediately see them walking by and you're like, wow, look at that guy. And it's not because the woman or the guy's good looking. It's because they just exude this charisma.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you agree?
Well, but what does someone do that doesn't, what would someone do that doesn't think they have that charisma? See, I didn't think I had that.
Well, I think that, and like you said, it has to do with storytelling. But the hardest part when I talk to people that want to be speakers, and I'm not a speaker, I've done a couple of speaking events here and there, but I'm not what we consider a speaker, where I go in and do the speaking gigs and so on and so forth. But I think people that are trying to get into the speaking industry are having a really hard time with that story piece. They're having a really hard time telling a story, number one, that's going to really enthrall the audience, or telling it in such a way that they feel comfortable telling it and they've got the audience captured. Mm-hmm. I think that's the hardest piece, personally.
You ever heard Matt Browning tell the story about his first time riding a horse?
No, I have not. I've not.
He will have you engaged, and mid-sentence, he stops and starts telling you something else.
But it's a point of practice.
And what happened with the horse?
Yeah, but it's a point of practice, and you have to practice that piece.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've even struggled with that. They say have a story, and you think to yourself, okay, well, what story? What, they say it's a personal story. Okay, well, what personal? So that's what I liked about, like you said, Suzanne Evans. Mm-hmm. She takes something that happened 2 weeks ago, and she brings up this whole story. But Suzanne Evans is a very colorful person too.
Yeah. I use, when I teach people the story about, traffic to their websites, all right, I use the going through the mall story in the kiosk versus Macy's.
Yeah.
And and I talk about the kiosk because, like, to me, there was a guy at a kiosk at the mall I used to go to on a regular basis who basically, tried to sell me hand lotion. Do I look like I'm buying hand lotion, dude? Do I look like I came to the freaking mall today to get hand lotion?
I know. It's like, stop already.
But, all right. And I explain the concept, all right. And the whole time I'm telling people, all right, here's this guy, some strange guy grabs my hand, starts squirting lotion onto it, rubbing it. And I got a strange guy rubbing my hand and rubbing lotion in it. All right. And I go, I said, see, that's the thing with traffic. All right. This guy is a businessman and he's got traffic walking by him all day long. The problem is the traffic's on the way to Macy's.
Yeah.
Now, Macy's has got a list. This guy has no list. You know why Macy's has a list? Because Macy's sent a letter to my mom when I was born, said when he's 18, make sure he signs up for his Macy's credit card. You know what I mean? Macy's has been marketing me before I was born.
Yeah.
So they got a list. They know who I am. All right. That's why I'm here going to Macy's. I'm not going by. But
yeah, you're going right past the kiosk.
Yeah. I said, what does that guy in the kiosk have to do to become Macy's? And I always open that question up. And then I turn around and I said, well, and then I always skip off and I go to the what if story. And my favorite is the what if. And I take that one based on the undercover billionaire that was done with Glenn Stearns. All right. It is the TV show. All right. I use the story from the TV show and I talk about the concept that you can do exactly what he did online. That's the whole point of that show, is for you to learn that. And I always take it, all right, let's just imagine for a moment. I think you've seen me do this one. Let's imagine for the moment. I always pick the local airport, wherever I'm speaking at, and I show a picture of a limo driver. And I say, imagine we're going to go out front right now. I've got a limo driver, and I have the picture of the limo driver on my screen. All right. And we're going to get in a limo. And here I live in, the closest airport to me is Addison Airport. We're going to take a limo down to Addison Airport, where I've got a private jet waiting. All right. I think when I did yours, the closest airport was Burbank. I said, we're going to take a private to Burbank, right? I always pick the local because those people are going to know that local airport.
Yep.
And I said, now let's imagine, and I have two different towns I use in it. The one town I use is Nashua, New Hampshire, because I know all the statistics on Nashua, New Hampshire. I lived there for 2 years back in the 80s. So I know statistics on how close it is to Boston. I know how many people live in it, right? And, then I kind of ask what's some average things you know about it. It'll tell you, you could Google, it'll tell you how many people live there. It'll tell you how close it is to Boston. All right. And you maybe can find out what their main industry is.
Yeah.
And the purpose I do that is I try to get people to pull out their phones and Google that town. Right. And the whole purpose behind it is learn Google to search things. It's one of the top search tools in the world. Right.
Well, and the easy part about Google too, which is cool, is all you have to do is talk into it. Look up, find this. You don't even have to type. They make it so easy for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, but like I said, in regards to speakers, I know everybody wants to be one because they realize that how much people they'll get on their list, and they'll get in front of another audience that normally they wouldn't get in front of. But like you said, it takes a lot of effort. You've got travel involved. You've got to be there. You've got to be prepared. Is it your audience? Is it not your audience? And if I wanted to go out and I wanted to learn speaking and get myself out there, what is the best advice you would say to somebody that's saying, I just want to get out there and start speaking? How do I start? What do I do?
I personally would say, start right here. Get online every day.
Yep.
Do a video every day. And I remember, and actually that's why I'm right now, I'm rewriting my Simple Easy courses and going to put them all up in new format. And one of them is I understand the concept. I actually bought the domain name many, many years ago called Simple Easy Branding. And the concept of using content to build your brand.
Yep.
All right. And when I say Simple Easy Branding, everybody starts thinking logo. They start, I asked that question one time in a mastermind. When I say branding, what do you think about? No one ever sits there and thinks I could build a brand by just creating content. No. I built my entire brand and my entire known out there by content. It is not because I got on some stage. It is not because I had a certain color. It is not because I had a fancy logo. It's not because I had a fancy name. It was all because all I did was create consistent content.
Let's admit it, though. You are a sharp cookie because your name is Gillette.
Well, I'm on, one track or two.
You do a close shave.
Yeah. I don't even use razor blades anymore.
My dad used to use the old-fashioned brush with the.
No, I actually use a face trimmer. I just trim it about every 7 days.
But remember those old-fashioned ones where they would pop up and they were metal, and then you put the blade inside and then you pop them back down. That's what my dad used.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just think it's interesting that people that I talk to, the main thing that they're always talking about is, I want to get on this person's stage. I want to get on that person's stage. I want to be speaking. I want to be, and what they're saying to get out there is not, I don't believe, is always the best way to do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a speaker, so I can't really go in and say, okay, I'm the expert at this. This is what I would recommend you do. But I mean, just knowing from experience and seeing speakers on stage and seeing people that have wanted to be speakers and how they've evolved over the years and what they've done, I just think it's interesting that everybody has sometimes a different perspective on that.
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah, and they do. And I know, like, I think Craig's event is for speakers. All right. I've like all the people who are pitching me to come to their speaker event and realize I could care less about being a speaker. I don't give it. I mean, I love y'all, but dude, I don't give a shit. I don't want to be a speaker anymore.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I mean, you have to advertise it to your
well,
audience.
the game has now changed again, and most people don't like that. The game has changed, and the truth is you want to get on the stages like Tony Robbins or any stage, you got to pay to get on stage now.
Oh, big time.
All right. Yeah. And that's, and there's still people out there going, well, if you have to pay to get on a stage, it's not a worthwhile stage. Don't do that. You ain't going to get on stages, period. That's the new business model. Then there's the people who are going, well, you know what I mean? You need to be if you're just on the stage speaking to sell, all right, that's not real speaking. Real speaking is keynote. Yeah. Nobody's hiring freaking keynotes anymore. No. Nobody. All right. And the people who are bringing in keynotes for their stuff, all right, they have those speakers booked out till 2035. They know who they're using. You got to fight your way into it, right? And I met a keynote speaker one time who told me, her fee was $1,200 to speak, all right, plus fees. I can't remember what it was. She barely eked by. She survived, but she wasn't, and that's the average speaker. They're going to make, they want to be a keynote. They're going to make maybe $25,000 a year. Dude, you can make $25,000 a year flipping burgers at McDonald's right now. Why the hell would you want to do that?
And all the travel involved.
It's not worth it for me. And there's another lesson there that I learned from Larry Wingett early on. I asked Larry Wingett, oh gosh, it's got to be 12, 13 years ago. I had him on my podcast and I said, Larry, do you love what you do? And he said, hell no, I hate what I do. And I'm like, whoa, that was a shocker for me.
That's not what I expected.
No. And he says, Tim, let me tell you what I do. He said, I get up at the crack of fucking dawn and I drive my car to the airport and park it there. I get on a plane and fly, cramped in this tube with a bunch of other people to some town that I don't know nothing about. Then I've got to rent a car. I've got to get a hotel room. All right. Yeah. I got to eat at some place that may be good, maybe bad. I don't know what it's going to be like until I get there. He says, I do all of that stuff and I'm away from my own home, all right, for 24 to 48 hours. Also, I can do the 1 hour talk that I love.
It's a lot of work.
It is. And most people don't realize, the ones who want, I want to be a speaker because that's so cool. It is 99% crap work for a 1% payoff.
I agree.
Right?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally
now, most of them, all right, that I see, a lot of people I see who want to get into the speaking world, though, the other mistake they're making is they hear your talk today and they're like, oh, yep, I need that. All right. And halfway through your program, they hear another talk. Oh, well, I need that. And they drop and they never finish what they started here.
No.
Where if they did finish through one program, great. Tim, I'm finishing your program. Katrina, I'm going to buy yours, Katrina, but I can't start until such and such date.
Which I think is very smart. But if you listen to some of the speakers,
aren't encouraging that.
Some of the speakers in the back.
Yeah.
And they say, you can do both programs at the same time.
Bullshit.
No. Do one program, finish it like Tim said, and then only then do you go to the next program, because you're fracturing yourself and you're not going to get the best bang for your buck. And then you're going to walk away and say that program didn't work or shit because this didn't happen.
I didn't do it. All right.
And 9 times out of 10 is because you didn't finish it.
Yeah. The guy we were talking about earlier who did very well with this gentleman's program that we talked about. All right. He was the first person who believed, and he is I want to say the biggest sales feature for that guy. He's the one person who believed, okay, this program will work for me. Okay, I'll do it. And he did the homework and he became successful doing it.
He did.
All right. And that's why that program worked for him. I'm not saying anybody's program out there, anybody out there that's have a program, if you get people who actually seriously 100% go through the program, they will be successful. All right. But most people never finish the program because they tune in and they meet another speaker who says, no, you can do it all.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Focus. All right.
Yep.
And every speaker and every coach in the world's hating what I say right now.
But it's true. It's true.
We're so busy trying to sell so we can go to the next thing and say, well, I sold 45 people out of 52, right?
Woohoo!
Big fucking deal.
Yep.
All right.
I agree. I agree.
That's the part that's frustrating me is we've got so many people selling and not enough people doing.
No,
right? I don't want to have you in my program just so I can claim a number. I don't disclose my numbers ever. I don't tell people my percentages, nothing like that. Because every time I reach out to help somebody, it is not about the numbers I sell. And I remember that was the biggest beef I had with my coaches. What's your numbers? I don't know. You got to know your numbers. Maybe. And maybe I know. All right. But I'm not telling you what they are. Period.
Yeah.
Because I don't voice them. It's not about the numbers. It's about the people I help along the way. Well, Tim, you're never going to be successful and make money. I can just go buy rental real estate and make money. I'm in this thing here, not for the profit. Because trust me, I could go buy a real piece of real estate and make a lot more profit from it than doing it. A lot more. Right?
I agree.
So
but I just think it's interesting. And I agree. I agree with what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in Suzanne's program, and I noticed that she has 3 or 4 different programs. And there are several people that I was taking this program with. I signed up for one program. That's it. Yeah. That's my program. And once I'm done with that, then I'll go to the next program. I'm not signing up for anything else until this is done.
Yeah.
And that's what I promised myself to do because, like I said, it fractures too much. And when you talk to some of the people in this program, they signed up for 2 or 3 different programs, and they're having a hard time managing everything. They can't do it. And you're spending all this money and all this effort, and you're not going to be successful at it because you're not taking the time to take the action on that particular program. So, I mean, I agree with you in regards to speakers. It's always, even coaches, sell on the next one, sell on the next one, get them on this one, get them on that one.
It's one of the reasons, you know, I wrote the outline for this program, but I've never recorded it. And it's called You Don't Need a Life Coach, How to Fix Your Own Damn Life in 9 Months.
Yeah.
Right? Because of the fact that, I mean, I read a book years and years ago that was all about self-coaching, coaching yourself. All right. There is where I learned in the self-help industry. It's about self-help. I can
There's
be
no easy button.
I could be the most dynamic, outrageously cool speaker since Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar. All right. Or, you know, going all the way back, you know, to what's the guy who wrote, you know what I mean? The Millionaire Mind book. There's a ton of them, I think, but
yeah. How to be a millionaire. And
but the whole thing is I can be the greatest in the world. If I can't help people succeed, I can't. I can only do so much. It's up to you, right? It's one of the reasons why I revamped and I'm doing my workshops. I'm going back to my one-day workshops because that was the one place that people left with something done in their hands. And that's what I want to go back to, right? I don't care if you go on to be the next, you know, Tony Robbins. I want you to leave when you came to my seminar to leave with one thing in your hands. You know what you were coming for. And when you leave with it in your hands.
Are you doing that by yourself?
I'm doing it by myself. It is a one-day content creation seminar. And basically what I'm doing is I'm helping you create content. And then I'm telling you the tools where you go break it up. I'm telling you all the stuff that you go to do. And it's, you know what I mean? It's, you know, I want to say I used to do it for like $297. I want to say it's going to be like $497 a person to attend. Because I want to eliminate the people who are just, I can tell you how many people I went through my blogging workshop that I haven't freaking seen or heard from in years.
Yeah.
Right. And like I have that whole blogging workshop. I took it down and I put it down into a course online. And I'll bet you 60% of the people who signed up for that course still haven't completed it.
That's the problem. I think people are looking for that easy button, even when it comes to speaking. They want that easy button. They want to just say, oh, let me do it for you. And I think that's the reason why a lot of coaches and business business coaches, whatever, are so frustrated is because they're talking to these people, they're giving them all this advice, they're giving them the tools that they need, but nobody's taking action on it. And so it's very difficult because there's only, from what I've seen in any program, there's very few that are successful in that program, and because they're the ones, like you said, that follow the homework and they do everything to the letter, and then they become successful.
Mm-hmm.
But
thank you, Robert.
You mean you don't hang out with just me too, Robert?
Robert's on all of my podcasts. He's a guest. He is a listener on all of my podcasts.
And we thank you for being here, as always.
I know Robert. I think Robert had dealings with alcohol, so he doesn't drink, but he shows up for my alcohol podcast and talks. And talks with us. He talks to us through the comments about, you know what I mean, food.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
And that's it. He's an engaged person.
Exactly.
Would I love it if Robert joined my mastermind? Hell yeah, I'd love it. But he's not my mastermind. All right. And you know, he probably is at a place in his life he can't afford it, and it's okay. All right. He can still show up to these and learn quite a bit.
Well, and that's the thing, is you can still learn by taking a lot of those little, I mean, there's a lot of speakers out there that will hand you a big program, and they'll also hand you a small program. Mm-hmm. Take the little program. Start with the little program, and then you can move into the bigger program. But take that little program and do your best to get through that, and then see if the big program is going to work for you before you just sign on the dotted line. But I know a lot of times when you're at an event, these speakers say, well, this is just a one-time thing. I'm only going to give you this discount for here because you've attended, and da-da-da-da-da, so that they can get you on board. And I get that. But I mean, working the back of the room, we saw people that were signing up for, we saw this one woman, she signed up for literally everything. Mm-hmm. Every speaker that offered something, she signed up for it. By the end of the day, she came back and she said, I've done too much. I need to look at all the programs that I signed up for, and I need to go through and figure out what's what. And then I need to take my check back, or I need to get a refund or whatever, because I did too much. Mm-hmm. And I think when people go to these events and they listen to these speakers and so forth, they get so enthralled, and it's like the mob mentality. Oh, everybody's all excited. We're going to do it. Yay. Go back to the back of the room. They sign up. They're all set. Then the next speaker comes up. Oh, they go back to the back of the room. They sign up. And we would see, based on the speaker and how well they did on stage, was how many people would be running to the back of the room and signing up for their program. Yeah. And they had already signed up for 3, 4, 5, 6 other programs. Mm-hmm. So it's just, I think as an audience, we want that magic pill. We want that magic button. We want that magic just to wand to say, okay, it's done. Now you're successful.
Yeah, most people don't have a willpower when going to an events, and this is my opinion. All right, you speakers out there who host events are going to hate on me, and I'm not doing this to the most. Someone, when they're attending your event, should sign up for it. If they sign up for your program, whatever it is, all right. Outside of that, their speakers, the most they should sign up for is 2.
Yep.
2.
I agree.
2 programs outside of your program. So if they sign up for, say, you know, Katrina, they come to my event, they sign up for my mastermind, and I have 5 speakers selling something. 2. Only 2.
Yep.
And you have to put that in your mind. I'm only going to spend so much. When you go to an event, first of all, nobody has ever sat and thought, I'm going to this event, this is how much money I'm going to spend. No. I do that on every event because I know when I go to an event that there's going to be 5 to 6 good speakers. And every one of them, I'm going to see the value of their program every time.
Yep.
And I have to pick 2.
I agree. I do the same thing.
Me. So
I agree. And I also look at the time commitment. I look at the time commitment. And I ask them, what is the time commitment? What is the homework involved, and so on and so forth. So I know I can manage that, all of the pieces that are a part of that program. If I can't, I don't sign up for it. Yeah. I just don't. I wish I could, but you know.
I did make this up for people. This is very easy though, by the way. No. I actually have, and this is my 2023. I changed it. And I actually was sitting here writing this out last night, talking with my mastermind. In 2023, I have a mastermind that's gold level and platinum level in my mastermind. Now I know you were in my mastermind, and that's, you know what I mean. It's stuff that you and I work on, that why you're my mastermind, and gold and platinum level. The current man, and I have a founders level, which those people who are in the founders level are already in. You can't get into it anymore. All right. I've offered it for 5 years from the foundation of starting it, and that's it. Nobody else is in that package. But my gold is $97 a month. That's it. $97 a month. You get to come to all the calls. You get all the programs I've got. All right. I actually have a website company I do template websites for $9.97. If you're in my mastermind, even this $97 you get that template website for $4.97. Right? I do hosting of the websites for $97 a month. If you do have Kartra and want us to do a funnel, it's $147 a month. If you're in my mastermind, you get it all for $47 a month. Again, I'm helping my mastermind. I built these programs to help my mastermind, not to help the world. They want them. They're high prices. The discounts are only here. We're talking discounts. But the simple, easy mastermind takes you and shows you, here's the one mastermind, here's the other. This one here, $97 a month, click the button, buy. This one here, click here, and you can find out. Now, here's the thing about sales. I've made it so the mastermind is $7,500 a year. There are 2 times a year, or when I'm doing an event, like I will offer it when I do my one-day workshops, I will offer it there for $5,000. When they leave, it goes back to $7,500 if they don't sign up. That's what Sandra Yancey does. All right.
Oh yeah, and she's really good at it, because a lot of people will say it ends at midnight.
She's perfect at it.
She's so good at, because when she says it ends at midnight, it ends at midnight, and you will never see that discount again. Never. It's like Costco. You go to Costco, you see that item, and if you don't buy it right now, it's not going to be there. You know that. That's the same way with Sandra Yancey.
The next thing I learned is I offer for first-time people. It's discounted at $5,000, and your second year is free.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
All right. If you sign up today. If you don't sign up today, the next time it's $5,000 for 1 year. You don't get the second year free. You have to sign that up the first time.
Yeah.
That's a Sandra. That's Sandra Yancey. I'm learning from Sandra right there. Right.
She's the queen at that. I'm just, and there are so many people out there that'll say, well, because we didn't get, we got, by popular demand, we're bringing it back, and blah, blah. She doesn't bring things back.
No.
One time done.
Yeah, I don't. And like my offer to my events are going to be one time you can get it. And, I'm selling all my programs, and the bonus is the event. Right. And this is part of where I'm getting past the friggin' I'm fed up with people who don't, by offering things that help people. Right. I actually have started to set my automation up in Kartra that if you don't actually follow through with getting on my podcast, I just wipe you off my list. I don't need to have a list and say, I got 15,000. I don't give a shit how many people are on my list. The people on my list are there for help.
That's something else that Sandra Yancey does too, is she sees if you haven't opened your email after a certain period of time, you fall off her list, and then you don't get updates ever again. Well,
you have to go reactivate them.
You do, yes, but you drop off her list, and then people will say, "Oh, didn't you get?" No, I'm not getting emails. Why? It's probably
because you didn't engage. Yeah, and that's something I was working to set that up with Kartra, and I may set that back up again to where if you don't open my emails, I drop you off the list.
I think she does it for, I'm not quite sure what the time frame is, but she does it for a certain period of time. Mm-hmm. And if, like I said, they don't open them, they fall off the list. Because if you think about it, if they're not opening them and they're not going in, then they're not engaged. Mm-hmm. What's the point of sending them something they're not going to look at? Yeah. There's no point in it. And if they're not buying from you, then are they truly somebody you need to have on your list?
Yeah.
Probably not.
You don't. And I know people who are trying to save their list, not realizing that they're shooting themselves forward. Like I have a
purge your list.
Yeah, I have a meetup group, And right now I'm doing stuff in the meetup group to get people to leave. You're either gonna show up live to the events, or you're gonna leave. I don't give a damn which one you choose. You're gonna show up live, great. We're gonna work together. And I had a guy message me, hey, do you talk about this in your group? I said, if you show up, we will. I says it's designed that when you show up, my meetup live in Dallas is designed. When you show up, it's part of a conversation. All right. Tim, how do you do this? And we pull the computer up. I got it on the screen and we go search it right there at the event. Right. And people are like, oh, well, that's a kind of unique. Yeah, I wanted to build it unique because the whole meetup is designed to help people.
Yeah. Right.
And now I'm doing either shit or get off the pot. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. Tim, your list is and I watched a guy who just blatantly came out and said, hey, listen, you either buy or get the hell off my list. I watched a guy say that years ago, and that's not my full attitude, but my attitude is, if you're not going to help yourself, being on my list is not going to help you.
Well, like my husband always says, if you don't care, why should I?
That's right.
Why should I care if you don't care?
Yeah. You're not willing to help yourself. Why should I help you?
Yeah. And it still amazes me how many people, when I go through these training classes, come up with excuses. Yeah. Well, I've got this going on and I've got that going on. And then there's this going on and that going on. And then there's excuses. You either want to get it done or you don't. Simple as that. If you're dedicated to do it, you're dedicated to do it. If you're not, you're not. Simple. If you're not, you're going to make up every excuse under the sun.
Yep. Yep.
The sky is in the right position. The sun, well, if it's not shining in a window at a certain length, and it, I can't do it. Yeah. No. Nope. All right. So here you heard it first time. If you really want to get into speaking, start with a podcast. Start doing videos online. Yeah. Start getting your stories down. Start getting your content down that's based on your audience, not just what you think people should hear. It's based on what your audience wants to hear. Yeah. Start there before you want to get on any stages. And like Tim said, it's changing. It's now pay to play. You've got to pay to be on those stages. So be prepared. If that's what you really want, you're going to pay to be on those stages. If not, then go to all those networking events and so forth. Then you can practice there. Like Craig said, he went to every networking event he could do, and he was the keynote speaker or the one right after lunch that he offered to do. Yep. I haven't won, and that's the other thing is I have not attended hardly any networking events, and actually in a room with Craig on Monday, they cornered me. Hey, so you're coming to next week's with Bill Wallace. So you're coming to next week's, and I'm like, because it starts at 7 a.m. and like I live like an hour away from it. Like I got to get up at 5 to go there. No, thank you. I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's too early in the morning. But anyway, I know Tony does it, and Tony lives further out than me, so I gotta. Tony's dedicated, and she gets out there and she gets people, and she's been building her list and so forth because she's always out there and networking and one place to the other. Yeah, that's how she's been building her list. So, I mean, it just depends on how badly you want it. I haven't been to Tony's. I've only been to Tony's one time too. And literally, there's a lot of girls at Tony's events who wish I'd come back. And I'm like, the E-Women events. I love you, Sandra Yancey, but I just don't feel like driving to freaking Plano for an E-Women event. Not worth my time anymore. Well, I would have to get on a plane and head over. So. Well, I know, but it's just. I got turned off the networking. Again, I didn't do a lot of networking unless it had a purpose behind what I was doing. So I was going to engaging evening events. And a lot of people, I started doing, in 2018, I started doing other networking events like, Craig's and going to E-Women. And I learned it was a game. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to play that game. Yeah. All right. And to me, the hardest kick for me was the E-Women. I got so involved in that chapter and I got nothing from it. Nothing. Well, and that's part of networking too, is are you getting anything out of those networking events? If I'm not getting anything out of it, I'm not going to keep going. No. But you got to give it time though, too. I mean, there's some people that'll be there for 2 months and say, I didn't get anything, so I'm out of here. Well, Donna, I always love Casey Everhart talks about this thing on networking. He says you should be able to go to a networking function one time, and if it doesn't put value, you don't ever go back again. Ever.
Casey's big on this, and he talks about how to go to an event and connect with people the right way. And if that doesn't work, the event's not for you. Don't go back.
Yeah. Well, I guess you see if that's your audience or not too.
Well, yeah, that is. It's the way you see if that's your audience, the way if you see they're engaging people in there, and that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
All right. And I've always loved that about Casey. He taught that to me. There's a couple things Casey taught me that made me that stuck in me very well. So yeah.
I met him long ago with send out cards. Long.
Yeah, I knew him with send out cards, and like I know all the stuff he's doing now. And,
yeah, long ago.
Yeah. So
he's come a long way, baby.
Yeah.
We all have.
He built send out cards.
Oh yeah,
he built it, and then the fools just screwed up and let it go. I just got an email from send out cards the other day. I just deleted it and unsubscribed again.
Yeah, they're trying to change things, and
yeah, without Casey Everhart, you're a fool. Trying to do it.
It is what it is.
Yep.
It is what it is.
All right, we're at the top of the hour, just a little bit over. All right, we're going to end this week's broadcast. We'll come back next week, do something again, right?
Yeah. And like I said, sorry for the last week. It was technical difficulties left and right.
You got anything coming up before we close?
What?
You got anything coming up in the next week before we close?
I do not. I'm just working my butt off trying to get things accomplished and client projects taken care of. And I'm working on a membership site that we've got, and I'm revamping things too. Okay. So just trying to put content out there that people can utilize.
Cool.
Thanks for watching, Robert. We love you.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, you've been here the whole time, so I appreciate that. And a couple other people have hit the like button and appreciate them. So
thank you. Watch again.
We will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.